Hello, and welcome to the Cleveland International Film Festival's Film Slam Streams post-film conversation for Besieged. My name is Eric Siler, Professor of Communication, Film, and Media Arts, as well as moderator for this conversation. I am so thrilled to be joined by a special guest, Mengchen Niu. You may recognize her name as Mengchen, but she's going by Melody. So Melody, hello, and thank you for joining us.
Hello, Eric. Thank you for inviting me to join this session. I feel it's very meaningful.
Well, great. Yes, I'm looking forward to our conversation as well. We may have some Mandarin students watching as well. Would you like to give them a special greeting?
Oh yeah, 大家好，我是 Melody，然后今天非常高兴参加这个环节。Thank you. Yeah, because like I know like some of the students can are learn to speak in Chinese and Mandarin, so I'm just trying to using this as a beginning of the session. But like, hi everyone, thank you for having me here.
Okay, great. I'll say ni hao to you and ni hao to those Mandarin students. Thank you for sharing that greeting with us. So let's get into Besieged. Interesting, very interesting film. Can you tell our audience a little bit about what inspired you to create this film?
Yes. So I actually is a musician as well, but it's not like a professional musician. I play piano for 13 years since I was 4 years old, and all my childhood memory is about practicing piano and the story between me and my mom. So I always want to write a story about it because when I was young, it's very hard for me to understand why she's trying so hard to push me to practice piano. And then like when I moved out to Philadelphia, so I met a group of classical musicians who play violin. They are actually students from Curtis Institute of Music, which is a school only accept young prodigy, like a young prodigy under 15 years old. And they all share a lot of like a great story with me, and it's really touching. So I ended up decided to write a story about a young violinist who is tired of competition, and he set up like a escape plan before a very important violin competitions. And then like when I doing the cast, the auditions, I didn't end up find who I want to find. It's so hard to find a boy like that, but I ended up met two very interesting actors. One is a real actor. He used to be a violinist, but because he's not good enough, he finally decided to change his career path to be an actor. And the other one is a real violinist. He is a real prodigy, but he is tired of his life, tired of competition. He want to try something new, and he want to be an actor. And the very interesting thing is like 3 years ago, there is a huge auditions is held by a very famous Chinese director Feng Xiaogang, and he wants to cast a group of real violinists to be in his film. And the two actors ends up attending the same audition, and then the real actor, he didn't get the role, but the young violinist who didn't know how to act ends up get the role. So this like a real experience of two actors inspired me to write a story about like sibling rival between two violinists because they wanting to be each other. And for me, I think it's a very interesting dynamic, especially in the classical music world. It's very competitive. Just imagine if they're like the two people, if they are a sibling, I think the dynamic would be like much more interesting. That's why the whole experience inspired me to write these shorts.
Is that, oh, well, that's interesting. Do you have any siblings? Did you have a sibling rivalry? Did that inspire you as well?
No, actually, like in China, in my generation, like every family only have one kid. So
Exactly.
I don't have that experience, but I do interview a lot of my American friends who has like a lot of siblings in their family.
I see. Now, the two
Mm,
young men in there, Yang and Victor, they were half brothers. And
yeah.
can you talk a little bit about why you cast them as half brothers and how that contributed to the competition or and so forth?
Yeah, because of the I met the actor first and then create a story based on them, and it's like from their appearance you can tell like Yang is much older than Victor. That's one of the reason, and the other one is I want Yang to have a like a part of a history, which Victor doesn't know. Only Yang knows it, and also I feel like half brother will build up the build up the jealousy more even more so yeah, so I just that's why I put like a lot of flavor into it.
Oh, good, interesting.
Mm.
So you said you actually knew the characters before you cast them. You didn't have an audition. You just knew that they were violin players and decided to create a story around them.
No, I mean like I met them in auditions.
Oh,
I didn't know them like in person, but I created a story after I knew them. So
okay.
their personal experience gave me a lot of inspiration.
I see. So when you cast them, were you looking actually for a violin player or just a musician in
Mm.
general, maybe a cellist or something, and then you build a story? Can you talk a
Mm.
little bit about that?
Yes. So this is like a very special audition experience for me because it's very, very hard to find an actor who can play violin. Um, if it is a piano, like a pianist, I can just simply fake it. But like for violinist, I tried to let like somebody who didn't know how to play and to fake the position, but it's hard. So for me, I do not have too much choice. But when I do the audition, I just say like, if you are interested about this role, you can just come. I didn't like set a limitation for that, because I want to see if there has like any miracle could happen. So there are like 60 actors come in, and only one can play violin. Is the one I cast for Young. But for Victor, I got him is like very lucky because some of my friends see my casting call and they reach out to me and said, I know a boy who located in Philadelphia and he is quite famous in China and he might fit into your role, but he's not an actor. So I met Victor and he told me he wants to be an actor and he's willing to learn how to act. So that's the whole experience.
Well, interesting.
Mm.
Now that since they were both violinists,
Mhm.
how much directing of them as actors did you have to do? Obviously, you didn't have to direct them on playing the violin; they were violinists. But did you
Mm.
have to actually coach them a lot in terms of giving a performance?
Yeah. So for Victor, I spent a lot of time with him, and so after almost like a half year before the production, I begin to train him. Like so, he's been trained for half years, and also because he is quite busy. I just need to like every week I try to like find 2 hours or 3 hours to be with him. So not like teaching anything, just be with him and make him like feel comfortable, talk with me and trust me, and also did a lot of like research. So that happens for almost 3 months. So after he got used to me, I began to like train him. And also because he is not a real actor, so I need to using his like personal experience to kind of give him a feeling, like to let him understand what this character really going on and how he feels. And let him to imagine and reminds him a lot of his childhood memory. So
Interesting.
I take a really long time with him, and then like when I shooting on set, Young, who is a very great actor, so he also helps a lot. He gave Victor a lot of energy, so that's why it turns out like Victor's performance is actually is much higher than our expectation. I honestly, he is not very talented in acting, but he tries so hard. So we end up like very happy with the results.
Well, good. Yes, the
Mm,
results did turn out
mm.
well with that. You talked about working with them over a period of time. How long did it actually take you to make this film?
So for production, it takes overall for 7 days. But actually there's 2 scenes we didn't end up putting into the like final cut. Yeah, we just feel like it's not necessary to be there, so we cut it out.
Right. Now
Mm,
let's talk a little bit about the film itself. In
mm,
particular, a lot of interesting elements in there that you use to move the story along between
mm,
the sound design, the symbolism with the violin,
mm.
and then so forth. Can you tell us a little bit about what you had in mind going in and what happened and maybe post production to actually
Mm.
help tell the story?
Yeah, so for the script, from the narrative perspective, the script is the very structured. So we just shoot it based on the scripts. So the whole structure haven't changed. So like before this film, like a lot of my productions, a lot of my film works I shot before, and like during the post, we always will find some narrative issues. So we need to like tweak things around and make the story works. But like for this one, because we spent a lot of time working on the script, we didn't like really change too much in the post narrative. But there are some of the moments the editor realized we need to strings because there's a lot of information I try to put into the film, and some of them is not very obvious. Um, and we actually needs to highlight that. For example, there's one part is Young realized when he checked Victor's phone, and he realized his younger brother is auditioning for the same role. So at the very beginning, I used a screen, like phone screen, close up of a phone screen to show the information. But the editor feel like for the audience, they normally won't like to read anything. So we're better to like show what really happens and make the audience really understand what's happening. So that's why we for that part we cut back to the beginning scene, and so the audience know, oh, okay, so Young knows his younger brother is auditioning for the role. He's a sneak peek outside the window and see what happens inside the audition room. So we did a lot of things like that in the post to try to strengthen the moment and make the audience really feel it. And also for the conflict scene, they try to like the Young try to use the violin to hit. Oh no, Victor used violin to hit Young. In that scene, actually, there is like a part of dialogue happens after that. But when I do the post, I realize that part of the conversation between two siblings is not necessary. We might just cut it there and to create a sense of like suspense. And then that's how and then like it's very funny. A lot of people after watching the film just ask me, "Oh, what happens next? What really happens between them? Is Victor really being killed or anything?" But we didn't like try to do that when I write a script.
Right. So you leave it up to the viewer to interpret it their own way.
Yeah.
And what has some of the reaction been? What have people said to you after seeing this? And
Yeah, they told a lot of my friends told me they were very scared during the whole process. They were very worried about the character, which I it's funny for me because I never like intend to do that, but they just feel like it's dangerous. Like they feel like Victor's gonna something gonna happen to him. They're very like stressed during the whole process.
Mhm. Interesting.
Mm.
There was we have one question coming in, and question is, do you think that Yang and Victor truly care for each other?
Yes, when I write a story, I do um, try to make them care about each other, but also hate each other as well. Yeah.
Right. It's exactly. Another
Mm.
question we have coming in is, oh, how did you get the funding to create this film?
Oh, that's a very great question. So there's a question for all the indie filmmaker. Half of the budgets came from my department grants. I was in the Temple University film department, grad school, and they always provide grant for grad students see this film. So half of the money is from there, and then I did fundraising, but ends up didn't collect too much money. And then for the rest of the money is all made by myself. When I was in grad school, I always showed commercials in New York and Philly, and saved some of the money to to invest myself. Mm.
Is that well? Yes. So you do what you need to do to get the funding
Yeah. Mm.
for it
Mm.
for the film.
Yeah.
One thing I did not share with people is a little bit about your background, and you're currently working as a visualization producer
Oh
at
yes.
a company called The Third Floor. Can you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about what you're doing now in addition to
Okay.
independent filmmaking?
Yeah, so I think that's so I chose a very special career path. A lot of the I think not too much people ends up choose my way, but I have my reason. So I work in the third floor. Third floor is a pre-visualization company. It's not like a visual effects studio. Pre-visualization basically is when you begin the production. So before the production a bunch of animator will make create low quality animation just to make the storyboard visualized. And then so basically they design all the shots. A lot of like a big budget film like Marvel and Disney. They collaborate with the third floor. So I chose to be a previous producer is because this is the best way for me to understand how solid director create design the shots. I want to know like learn more uh, from them and so how they design the storyboard, how they make it visualized, and I think that's the very first step for previous to the first step for directors. That's like being a producer is you get the closest to the whole process. So that's why I chose to do this job, and I get this job like in is like very lucky. I didn't intend to do that. Just one day I got this like someone reach out to me and said like Surf we're gonna open up a office in Beijing and they need somebody who is a filmmaker, understand film language, can be the producer there. So I take this job. It is very hard to have a full-time job as well as doing creative work, but I just trying to like force myself to write something every day. So hopefully my feature film like feature production will happen soon, and then I can just quit the job.
I see.
Mm,
So this is the job that you're working on now, but
mm.
tell us a little bit about your feature. I mean, what is the project you're working on now? What is it, and when can we expect to see it?
Oh, so I'm actually working on two features, and one is adapted from Besieged. but the whole story will happens in China. It happens in a small city, a music conservatory in a small city in China, and the part of the plot will, just as the short film, will happens in Philadelphia. But like most of the stories will happens in the music conservatory, and there's like multiple different plot twisted together, and for that film, Victor is the main character. Yeah, and that's the first one. Yeah, and the other one is Suspense, which is like short novel. In China, I'm trying to do the adaptation.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, with that, so with your first project, is this a continuation, the sequel of Besiege, or is it just you're adapting it and making it a feature?
Um,
Or you don't know
kind of
yet?
like it's a sequel actually. It's a
Okay.
sequel. Young and Victor is still in the story, but the lead character changed. So right
Okay.
now it's a story between Victor and his professor, and his professor is like used to be a prodigy, but he ends up being a teacher in a very small city, and very obviously something happens to him before, and which caused him to stop his career path and chose to be a professor in a small city. And so he won Victor to finish his dream, but like unluckily Victor gets on the same road as him.
Wow, that should be interesting to see. I can't wait to see what you do with it. I imagine you're going to do a lot in post, some flashbacks and flash
Yeah.
forwards and so forth
Mm,
to help tell that story. That should be real interesting.
mm,
Well, this has certainly been a wonderful conversation. I didn't tell everyone you're joining us from LA. I know you're originally from Beijing, but you're based in LA now.
mm,
So, thank you for taking time out of your schedule today, and
mm.
the students appreciate you as well too. And I just want to say to everyone that if you're interested in learning more about the Cleveland International Film Festival film streams, please, and also our 45th Cleveland International Film Festival, please continue to follow us on CIFF social media and visit clevelandfilms.org. And Melody, if you want to say a special Saijian to everyone, can you go ahead?
Okay. Thank you so much for everyone to having me here, and so it's time to say goodbye. So bye bye，再见再见，祝大
Okay.
家一切好运。Good luck to everyone.
Okay. Thank you and Saijian to everyone. I'm Eric Siler.
And Melody.